I met Brandy in 2012, and we met because we were going to a music festival together. She had a car, I needed a ride, and so a couple mutual friends put us together. And the nice thing about meeting someone in a car is that you have all sorts of time to get to know a person's life story. So she told me all about her son and all about her fascinating life. She'd worked and traveled all over the world, and traveling was always one of her passions, and that was a common point for both of us because I too love to travel. And that's also at least one of my favorite memories of her was we spent some time together in Barcelona. And I was there probably just a week, and we had this weekend where we went to Costa Brava, which is this really nice little medieval town, and got to go out for a lovely traditional meal, and there's a little castle right on the beach. So I have some lovely photos and great memories from that time together. Lots of social engagements with friends, lots of dinners. She loved having game nights. And so,
what kind of games?
You know, there would be some that would be for the adults, like Cards Against Humanity. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what it's called? Cards Against Humanity. Mm-hmm. And then also some that were friendly for Bastian to join, Apples to Apples, things like that. But she was always big on providing food and drinks. She was just the consummate hostess, which her home is, all of her homes, whether it was Barcelona or Santa Barbara, they've always been lovely, and she's always just been a lovely person, both inside and out.
Okay, I get to make my wish.
Make your
Can
wish.
I blow these three? Yes. You blow.
Make sure that your wish includes making all of our wishes come true too.
And mine.
That's
The
right.
Jordan comes online during this party. And all our wishes come true too. Okay, yours.
Every time I think about Brandy, it's always her laugh that comes to mind. She had a really distinctive, truly joyful laugh. She was always a person who just drank life like a tall glass of water, just loved life, and just would do anything that she put her mind to. And she was good at it. She could just manifest whatever it was that she seemed to want to do in her life. So it was fun to be along for that ride. Brandy was a very loving mother. She was always very affectionate. There must be thousands of pictures of her and her son. You know, she frequently spoke about him as, you know, the love of her life, the most important person to her. I mean, I know that Learn the Risk and helping other children was, you know, really at the forefront of her life and certainly her life's work. But her son always came, he was always number one. To this day, I know he's still number one. I'm sure that when she was working at Merck, she learned a lot about pharmaceuticals and a lot about vaccinations that she felt did more harm than good in the long term. And so when she was pregnant with Bastian, she made the decision that she wanted it to be a home birth. She wanted him to be as healthy as possible, and for her that meant not having any vaccinations. It's not required in Amsterdam, or at least it wasn't at that time. So that was a clear decision for her to not vaccinate Bastian, and I think it was a good one because he's a healthy, smart young man.
What did you think about Learn the Risk? Because that was started into your friendship, a few years
Right.
into your friendship. And what did you think about that? And I'm sure she talked about it with you. And how was that when she first started?
Sure. Yeah. So Brandy started Learn the Risk about 5 years ago, if my memory serves me. And she just started doing more and more research on vaccinations, finding out the different substances that were put in them, learning about how children were required to get more and more and more. And she was starting to see a lot of the harm that they were causing to children. And she, I know, always felt very fortunate that she'd had Bastian in Amsterdam and he was not vaccinated. And he's this very healthy, active, very intelligent young kid. And I think it broke her heart to see, all of these children that, before and after vaccination kinds of situations where there'd be this happy, beautiful child, and then the next day this child is miserable and sick. And she saw that and just thought, this is craziness. How can this continue? People have to know what are in these vaccinations and the different policies that are taking place that are not necessarily in children's best interest. Brandy always felt really nervous about being in the United States without having any family, because if anything ever happened to her, she was always really scared that Bastian would end up in the foster system. So probably within a couple of years of knowing her, she said, if anything ever happens to me, will you please promise to take care of my son? And I always said, of course, yes, thinking like, she's super healthy, young, vibrant woman. Nothing's going to happen to her. She seemed pretty immortal. But since she was scared, that something could happen to her one day and she wanted her son to be taken care of, she asked lots of people. It wasn't just me. She had other friends in California. She asked another mom here in Santa Barbara and friends in Europe that she asked. The father of Bastian is French and she's very close with his family. And so she asked the family to take care of Bastian. And in fact, that is who Bastian wants to live with. Is he wants to grow up with his all of his many aunts, uncles, cousins. He wants to live with his grandmother, and that's the thing, is he has so many family members in Europe, and that's one thing that he does not have here in the United States.
So he's spent time with them before?
Oh yeah, throughout his life, Bastian, his French is not quite as good as mine. I should say his vocabulary is not quite as good as mine, but his Parisian accent is spot on. It's pretty impressive. So yeah, he spent a lot of time, and not just in France, but traveling all over Europe because, like I said, Brandy really liked to travel. And they did spend a couple of years living in Barcelona. I dropped everything, came right over, saw Bastian on the front porch, ran up, gave him a big hug and told him everything was going to be okay. And then I went inside to the officer and he started asking me if I knew anything about any health conditions. And I said yes, that she had just called me on Friday the 4th. She passed on December 7th. And she called me just 3 days before saying, hey, I'm in a ton of pain right now, and I told Bastian that if I pass out that he should call you. And I said, what? What about 911? What about a doctor? Like, I'm really concerned about you. And I said, what's going on? And she said, well, I've been having issues with my gallbladder. And I was like, your gallbladder? What's going on? And she said, well, it feels like a knife is going into my side, and I'm having a lot of problems breathing, and I keep feeling like I'm going to faint. And I said, how long has this been going on for? And she said, well, on and off since Barcelona. I said, Brandy, that was 3 years ago. And she said, well, but it comes and goes with stress. And she had just taken a trip to Arizona, which had been very stressful for her. She had rented an RV, and there was a little accident that occurred, not involving any other vehicles. She was pulling out of a gas station and there was some body damage to it. But it caused her distress because she was wanting to have this really fun, positive time with her son, and nobody, of course, wants to have something go wrong on a vacation. When she called me on December 4th, 3 days before she passed. I recommended that she go see a doctor, and she said, well, I think that it'll be fine. I'm just going to give it some time, and I'm sure I'll be feeling better tomorrow. So I just kind of said, okay, as long as you think you're all right. And then it was so heartbreaking to learn that she did actually call Jada, Bastian's tutor, the next day to seek treatment, but it just wasn't enough. She needed to go to a hospital.
My friend put my name out on the homeschooling network, and Brandy contacted me, and I met with her and Bastian, and we just got along really well. And so I started tutoring a couple times a week to help supplement Bastian's learning. I came to their home, so I got very used to like being in the home environment with their animals and just sitting at the dining room table, just very, family environment, but also a lot of fun to sit down and read Roald Dahl and all the goods in the morning. Usually about 2-hour sessions, 2 or 3 times a week. She always had like a cough and some other health issues, but I never really thought much of them, just that they were kind of fleeting and ongoing. It wasn't until the last 3 weeks leading up to her passing away that I noticed more of a rapid decline, and especially when she reached out to me to help her with her doctor's appointment is when I really noted that more seriously. She was just in a lot of pain the last couple of weeks and was having trouble with like mobility around the house. So when I would come, she usually, normally for our sessions in the morning, when I would come, she would bring me a glass of water and Bastian a glass of water, and she always made sure I had ice because she knew I liked the ice in my water. But she kind of was unable to walk steadily just because of the pain that she was in. She would point to a number of things, sometimes muscular, sometimes like internal. But it wasn't until like the more explicit text of asking to take her to the doctors that she told me it was an internal issue. This is from Saturday, December 5th, 9:08 a.m. This is from Brandy. Hi, I hate to bother you on a Saturday, but I just thought I'd ask if you can take Bastian to his parkour class. I'm having a gallbladder attack and it's really painful and I can't get out of bed. And I hate that he won't be able to go to his class. It's drop off at 10 near the beach, pick up at 12. If not, I can cancel. Just thought I'd ask. Obviously, I would pay. Good morning and no worries. I'd be happy to help out and pick Bastian up. I'll be by around 9:45. Then her reply, okay, great. Thank you so much. Would you mind then taking me to a hyperbaric appointment near Oak Park right after? I can't drive, but I'm hoping the appointment will help heal the gallbladder infection. Also because I can't breathe well and the severe pain. And then a frowny face. If you have other plans or other things to do, it's okay. It would just be dropping me off at my appointments an hour, and maybe I would try to take a lift home. And I said, of course, I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. I'm happy to help. The ride to the appointment is not a problem.
How'd that day go, picking up Bastian, and did you see Brandy, and how was she feeling?
Yeah, so since I was already downtown, I just kind of got in my car, drove over, and I texted saying I was there. I thought I would be taking both of them at the same time, but I took Bastian first to his parkour class, and we just kind of listened to tunes in the car and dropped him off at the park. And then I came back and picked Brandy up, and she was just in like excruciating pain, which was really obvious. She was walking very slowly, wincing, grimacing, and making just like sounds that she was in pain. And I made sure to park my car closer to the house so she had less of a distance to walk. And then I drove her, and I was careful to drive slow just because like any movement was just a lot for her. And she kind of talked to me in the car a little bit just about some of her concerns and why she was going to the doctor she was and not choosing to go anywhere else. And I dropped her off to her appointment. I went home and then picked up Bastian once his class was done. And then we picked up Brandy from her appointment. She was sitting outside waiting for us. And then we took her to get some like natural medicine and some other pain medicine as well. Just because she said she was feeling better after the appointment. But I think the pain started coming back when she sat down in the car, and then I dropped them off and I went home. I don't think she wanted to go to the emergency room because she named COVID as a concern. I was worried that they would mistake her inability to breathe when the breathing was really just from like her being in pain and not being able to like expand her lungs because of the pain in her stomach or in abdomen. And I tried to tell her, I don't think they would mistake that as COVID, but I understand like that can be really scary. And she also noted that like not having health insurance as an aspect of the concern of going to an ER and what costs can come from that. So yeah, and I from previous conversations, she also had said, I think, that she had gone to this same doctor before or sought out the same solution just because it was more of like a detoxing that she had done. And she also noted in the card that she had had gallbladder attacks twice before over the past 5 years, and the last one was in 2018.
Was there anything suspicious about Brandy's death to you, or do you kind of feel like it had to do with the issues that you had seen?
It seemed really clear to me just because I had seen her a couple days prior, and then hearing kind of the story of what happened the day of, it just made sense to me, other than it seemed sudden just because I had just been with her. But I don't think there was any way for me, as someone who isn't educated in the human body as well as a medical professional in any way, but internal organs can just, if you don't take care of them, they can fail really quickly. And so I think that rapid pace just made a lot of sense to me, though it was really tragic.
I was really concerned because of what she was telling me. She said, I feel like there's a knife going into my side. I'm having problems breathing. I feel like I'm going to pass out. I told Bastian that if I pass out, he should call you. And I thought, no, call 911. And I also found out that on the day that she passed, she told Bastian once again, if I pass out, this time she said, call the neighbors. And so Bastian that morning did find her, and he ran across the street to the neighbors. And when they came over, unfortunately, it was too late. They tried CPR on her as well, but she was already gone. I have done some research on gallbladder issues since, and it's from everything that she told me, it sounds like she just needed to have it removed, and not all of the naturopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine in the world, unfortunately, can help with a gallbladder removal. And we'll find out once the toxicology reports come back, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was sepsis from her gallbladder erupting, just based upon all of the symptoms that she gave me.
Sepsis, formerly called blood poisoning, is usually triggered by a local infection such as pneumonia in the lungs, an infected wound, or infection of the urinary tract. Should bacteria from the local infection spread or secrete toxic substances into the bloodstream, the immune system may sometimes go into overdrive, causing inflammation throughout the entire body. You get sepsis. This interferes with the blood flow, which leads to a drop in blood pressure, making it difficult for the blood to carry oxygen to the body's major organs. This can lead to failure of organs such as the lungs, the kidneys, or the heart. In the worst cases, the patient dies in a matter of hours.
I was here the day that she passed, and I was able to go into the kitchen and say goodbye to her and, promise her that I was going to take care of her son. And it did not look like there was any foul play. She was just lying there, and it was
Where
just...
was she?
She was lying in the kitchen, and, I know that paramedics did everything that they could. They tried for 20 minutes to resuscitate her, and it was too late. He's looking forward to living with his grandmother. I think it's hard for a 9-year-old to really process and predict what life is going to be like in the future. But as of right now, he never complains. He's never saying, you know, I'm too sad to do anything. He always wants to go out and play at a jungle gym, hang out with friends, harass my dog as much as possible. Unfortunately, because of COVID, everything is taking much longer than we could have anticipated. Travel restrictions right now for the family to be able to come here are really difficult. And we need the death certificate in order for the family to come here, but everything is just, you know, there needs to be genetic tests that need to come. Everything is going so slowly. Every office is, you know, has limited employees. Hours of operation everywhere are also reduced. So everything is just taking a lot longer than we thought it would. Right. And so unfortunately, we've had a lot of expenses that are escalating beyond what we could have predicted. Right. The house is not cheap. We've got rent that needs to be paid every month, and of course, all the utilities and everything else involved in upkeeping the home.
How long do you think this, you know, Brandy's place is going to be going here? I mean, with Bastian here before he moves over, do you even know?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's probably going to be at least another month, maybe as long as into April. I really hope that's not the case because I want him to get into a pattern of normalcy. I think stability is what's best for him, and so that's why having this house has been great. Being so close to his best friend has been great. I know that's one thing that will be difficult for him is moving away from his friend, but going into a family where he's got aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, it's going to be wonderful.
Right. Who is paying the rent? Where does that money come from? And food for Bastian? And yeah, how is this all being taken care of?
Sure. Like I said, Brandy has a lot of friends in Santa Barbara, and the community has really come together. The first few weeks, Bastian and I ate better than we could have in any restaurant in town. We had so many friends bringing us food and just doing simple things like walking my dog when we were just too exhausted. And then we have had some food donations. Again, our new friend Shannon gave us a really great Instacart delivery on the first day that I had Bastian. And we've had other people giving us e-gift cards to Whole Foods or gift cards to Trader Joe's, things like that. That's been really helpful.
So is everything handled now? Or you were saying you're looking at through April, so you're obviously talking about food and rent and miscellaneous.
Right.
And I know there's also an attorney that's doing some things who's not asking for money, but...
Right. No, this attorney that we've been working with has been amazing.
Is this the friend of the family who Bastian went to that morning?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the attorney who's been helping us does live across the street. And I didn't know him extremely well at the time, but I knew enough that I trusted him. So when she passed, I asked him to help me see if there was any kind of a will. Mm-hmm. And he just started pouring his time and energy into trying to help us and never asked for any kind of payment. Didn't say like, well, I'm going to need a retainer if I'm going to help you. So yeah, he's a true saint for giving us all of the time and energy that he has given to helping Bastian have a good future.
Thinking about Bastian, it sounds like, yeah, he may be here through April, so that's a lot of rent, food, expenses, tutor, and I'm sure other little things here and there. And then beyond that, going to go live overseas, travel, things like that, is his family going to need help? How are they doing?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. His family, they're all very intelligent people. They're all hardworking people, but coming up with the money for all the flights that are needed and all of the costs associated with legal fees, because this is not a cut and dry situation. You've got the American legal system and you've got the European legal system, and so that's a lot of attorneys having to speak with one another. So there's definitely legal fees that are mounting. One of the things that's taking a while is the grandmother who Bastian is choosing to live with currently lives in a one-bedroom apartment, and social services is requiring that they live in a two-bedroom apartment. So she's been working hard to find a new two-bedroom apartment in Paris, which apparently is not all that easy. So
Or
that's
probably
been
all that cheap.
not, yes, it's going to be expensive to go from the one-bedroom apartment that she and her husband have been living in to go to a two-bedroom apartment with room for Bastian. But I know that they're happy to do it, but like everything, it's just taking time and it's not cheap.
Right. So if there's help out there to be had, there is use for that help.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Brandy did not leave a will, unfortunately. That would have made everything easier for all parties involved. But fortunately, Bastian does have a lot of really loving family, and Bastian has said from literally day one, from the day that Brandy passed, that he wants to go live with his grandmother, who he affectionately calls Yaya. It's Greek for grandma.
Brandy had a friend, Tina Marie, who you've probably heard from throughout this.
I have, but I did not know anything about her prior to Brandy's passing, which I thought was odd. That, you know, I've seen Tina's fundraiser and her talking about how they were really great friends, but I never heard anything about her before. And I know that Brandy's Learn the Risk world, there were certainly people there that I had never met, since I've been her friend more just on a social basis than I have in the world of anti-vaccination. So yeah, I just didn't know anything about Tina until after Brandy had passed. Tina contacted me via Facebook Messenger and introduced herself and said that she was heartbroken by Brandy's passing, and we started up a friendly dialogue, and she expressed that she really wanted to come out and visit Bastian, and it all sounded great until someone who I still don't know sent me an email saying that this woman, Tina Marie, had created a fundraiser, and that this woman really did want to help Bastian make sure that his future was secure, and wanted to give a donation, but wanted to make sure that she was donating to the right place. And she asked, is this fundraiser of Tina Marie's legitimate? And so I said, well, hang on, let me check it out, because I didn't know anything about it at the time. So I read it over, and I was really disheartened to see that Bastian wasn't even mentioned. Brandy's number one priority above work or anything else is Bastian. And so it was very odd to me that Tina didn't list that as number one or even number two on the list of...
Or at all.
Or at all, yeah, of what she was raising money for. So I was put on high alert. My intuition was a bit... I was put into a protective mode after I saw that, because it just didn't sit right with me that Brandy passed and that this woman's priority wasn't her son.
The focus right now is getting funding to do the investigation and the second autopsy, if we can make that happen.
Did you have a conversation with Tina about the fundraiser or?
No, I never spoke with her about it because I'm a non-confrontational person, and so I was just kind of waiting to see if she was going to reach out and say, hey, can I pay for the rent, or what kinds of things do you need? But she came out for a visit fairly early on. It was about 10 days after Brandy's passing, and we had an interaction where I really lost trust in her. So I've kept my communications with her to a minimum since that time.
Can you talk about what happened there where you sort of lost the trust?
Yeah, we were out on a walk, and her and a friend that she had brought with her kind of cornered me and said, we're going to need Brandy's laptop and phone. And I said, well, why is that? That's how Bastian communicates with his family. And they said that they thought there would be a will on the laptop. And I asked if Brandy had been working with an attorney, and they said, oh no, she was way too paranoid for that. And so I said, well, how could it be legal? And they were really insistent on getting it, and I was just as insistent in saying no, that they were Bastian's possessions and needed to stay with him. And so it was that kind of insistence on getting Bastian's things that really put me on alert that they did not have Bastian's best interest in mind, but rather their own agenda. And that's not who I want to be working with right now. I want to be talking with people who are focused on Bastian's future and his current safety.
Did Tina ever inquire about what she could do for Bastian to help out, or did she bring Christmas presents?
No Christmas presents or anything like that. She did pay $2,200, so a portion of the rent that was due for January.
Who paid the rest of the rent?
Donations. We did receive some donations from one of the producers of Vaxxed 2, which was really wonderful.
Tina has paid part of a month's rent. Is there any promises for anything coming forward from that fundraiser for Bastian?
No, sadly, I have not had any contact with Tina in quite some time. Unfortunately, both the French family and myself felt like we had to sever communications because she was doing things that were inconsistent, such as hiring an attorney to try to gain custody. And when Bastian has made it very clear that he wants to live with his grandmother. So it's really sad that the money from the fundraiser, she's spending that on an attorney that likely is just going to go be money down the drain because she doesn't have any legal right to anything. She's not a board member of Learn the Risk. She's not a blood relative. Hiring an attorney and using the funds from the fundraiser is a total waste of time and money.
I mean, who is it for them to say, exactly where the money should be delved out to?
That's right.
I saw one person respond, oh, well, Tina's already raised $30,000, so that's plenty to keep Learn the Risk alive, and plenty. I mean... And
for investigations and autopsy, and, they're crazy.
It's like, no, instead you should go send the money to her neighbor, because, and it wasn't even the neighbor that was watching the kids. You should send money to the neighbor so that way we can pay Brandy's rent. At this point, who cares about her rent? She's dead. That's the last thing people should be cared about.
Her hiring an attorney was a big, unfortunate surprise to everyone. It really was just disheartening. It was another thing she had done that made us feel like she's saying one thing but then doing another. Mm-hmm. And the family and I have just always been really focused on Bastian and his future, and it would be great if all of the people donating knew where their funds were going, because right now I think a lot of people believe that the money that they have been donating is going to help Bastian, but as of right now, we haven't seen that money at all.
And you're taking care of Bastian?
Yes, I'm happy to take care of Bastian. it would be nice to have some financial help
Right.
too. Yeah.
Do you think a lot of money needs to be spent to investigate what happened to Brandy? I mean, are you at all suspicious of anything?
Look, I don't think there was any kind of foul play involved. I don't know if there will end up being a second autopsy or not, just because of how long everything is taking. Brandy wanted a second autopsy. I would love to see a second autopsy. Who wouldn't want to have a second autopsy? Will it be possible? That I don't know. I know that one was done immediately after her passing, and it's taking a long time to get those results, but I don't know exactly when we'll get those results back. The family is in support of a second autopsy as long as it isn't something that will end up negatively impacting Bastian's future. So if Tina wants to pay for that, wonderful. However, it's not something the French family can afford, and nothing that Bastian or I can afford either. So,
If an independent second autopsy showed that it was sepsis, that kind of closes the book on that at that point?
I would certainly hope so, yes. I really think that she died of natural causes, and unfortunately her life could have been saved, I believe, if she went to the hospital.
Are you pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine?
I personally am not a big fan of vaccinations because Brandy taught me well. I learned a lot about them from her. I don't plan on getting any for the rest of my life. I've been working very hard to keep Bastian from getting any vaccinations, which is another reason why I'm trying to get him to France as quickly as possible, is to honor Brandy's wishes of him not getting vaccinated. And it's really hard to do that right now because social workers require that children in the foster system do get vaccinations. They do go to school and have proper immunizations. So I'm doing everything that I can to slow that process. I set up my own school yesterday with there being my school population is 1 and the teacher is Jada. So we are set to continue with Bastian's education, and I am keeping him vax-free.
How many learn the risk cards have you passed out and put on windshields? How many conversations have you had with random people going to get coffee? How many times did you go and put it on different cars? How many times did you mention it? If the answer is 0, you know what you should do? You should, I want this to be a family show today, but you should, probably, keep your mouth shut would probably be the nice way of saying that. And so now these people that had nothing to do with this ever now want to then make themselves to be the shot callers of this whole thing.
Is anybody else trying to vaccinate him, his family, or the attorney?
No.
Nothing like that?
No.
Okay.
The day after Tina and I met, I felt really unsafe because I brought Bastian to the house the next day for his tutoring, and after I dropped him off, I was walking back to my car, and there was a woman across the street, and she was yelling and waving, and I couldn't hear her, so I told her to come over, and she said, "Oh, are you Tina?" And I said, "No, I'm Karen." And she said, "Well, I was supposed to meet Tina here." I said, "Why are you supposed to meet Tina here?" And she said, "Well, I don't know. That's just what Tina told me." And then another car showed up with a man who said he'd just driven up from LA and was supposed to meet Tina there as well. And at that point, I got scared. There were all sorts of people I didn't know showing up on Brandy's doorstep while her child is inside getting tutoring. And so I called the police. And fortunately, the attorney, who apparently is wearing many hats because he came and asked the 2 individuals who were here to leave. However, later on that evening, unfortunately, Tina was we have a photo of Tina standing next to her children taking photos of Brandy's home, which was very odd, or no one's quite sure why she was doing it, if she's has intentions to try to break into the house, or I don't know, but I found it very odd that there's a photo of her standing there taking pictures of Brandy's house when she's standing right next to her children.
And it's not like she lives down the street. She lives in another
She
state.
lives in Arizona, yes. She drove out here, and after our one day together, and I told her, the next day it wasn't going to be possible to meet up because Bastian had decided that he wanted to have a sleepover at his best friend's home. I assumed that she would head out of town and not send people to Brandy's house and then show up later on that evening to take pictures of the home. That was all a bit surprising.
And she hadn't reached out to you to say that she was coming by or anything like
No.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Ultimately, what's just been so odd is that Tina will be so kind in communicating, but then she'll hire an attorney and try to seek custody. It just doesn't make sense.
So Tina wants custody of Bastian, even though he's going with his relatives, which is where he, in fact, wants to go.
Correct.
Right. And he's been asked.
Correct.
And even given that as an option, like been told, that, would you like to go with Tina,
Right.
Nicole,
Right.
Yaya?
And he was even asked by a person not affiliated by me at all, of another friend of Brandy's, where he wanted to live, and he said he wants to live with Yaya, his grandma. I want to make sure that people know that the fundraiser on Learn the Risk, that is a fundraiser that was created by Tina, and it is not going to the family, it's not going to Bastian, and she has written everything that the money is going towards, and Bastian isn't even mentioned.
Do you think that Bastian would be any priority or one of Brandy's wishes after dying, that he was taken care of and helped and those things? Or do you think that would not be
Of course, I think that's a given. Every mother wants her child to be taken care of, and Brandy absolutely adored Bastian and would want him to be cared for, all of his food, shelter, basic needs, and also just loved to be with people who can give a lot of time to him. I feel very fortunate that it's just Bastian, my puppy, and me, because we are able to spend all of our time with him, which is great because I enjoy being with him, and it's been really nice to have people like Jada and his therapist and his close friends in town that have been able to keep his chin held high.
So you heard that I interviewed Jada the other day,
Yep.
and you wanted to share some things with me. So what were you wanting to share with me?
Well, there is something. So someone is trying to claim that my mom was not ill or anything, but she was.
So you knew she wasn't feeling very good?
Well, yeah, I was with her the whole time.
And can you tell me like how what was going on and how it seemed like how you could tell she wasn't feeling very good?
First of all, she had a lot of pain, and I don't know what this part's called.
Uh-huh.
Your side, her side.
Yeah.
Waist. Wait, no, waist down there. No,
Right.
Never mind. And she was in bed a lot.
Uh-huh. Was she able to drive okay?
Well, we never really left the house for that much because she had a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So, and she just stayed in bed and asked me to get her some vitamins and stuff.
Right.
Well, only once she did that.
Right. And did she tell you to reach out to anybody in an emergency or anything?
Yes.
And so what did she say? Did she say if something happens, then to reach out to somebody?
She said to reach out to Karen
Okay.
and to our neighbor that's right over there.
Yeah. Do you know what your neighbor's name is?
Yes,
No, what's their name?
Tara.
Okay. Do you remember when that started? Because I know you had just taken a trip.
We just took an RV trip. And I didn't know, but it actually was on. She actually had pain the whole RV trip, but I had no idea.
She didn't tell you.
Yeah,
But how do you know that she had pain that whole trip then?
she told me.
Okay. And then after the trip, it got worse?
Yeah, after the trip, she just got a lot of pain, had a lot of pain.
Right. Why did you guys go on that RV trip? What was the point of that whole trip?
It was my dream to be in an RV,
Yeah.
because it's actually fun.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere, sleep anywhere. So,
Yeah, that's really fun. And where did you guys go?
we went to the Grand Canyon, went to a meteor place, meteor crash site.
That's awesome. How was the meteor crash site?
It was good.
I've wanted to go see that. Was it the really, really, really big crater?
Yeah, the meteor crater in Arizona.
So cool.
That one in Arizona?
Yeah.
That one, yeah, I went there.
Do you remember one day your mom asking Jada to take you to parkour class because she wasn't feeling good?
Yes.
You remember that happening?
Yep.
Yeah. And so and why didn't she take you to the class?
She did take me.
Oh, but I mean, why didn't your mom take you to the class?
She had pain.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you remember when Jada took your mom to the doctor at the hyperbaric? Okay. Great. It sounds like you can go live with, either Nicole, Tina, or Grandma. Who is it that you want to go live with?
Grandma.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh.
Even though there is a pretty big time difference for me playing with my friends, but yeah.
Yeah. And you stayed a lot, you spent a lot of time in France?
Yes.
And you have a lot of family there?
Yes.
Well, that's cool. And you got a good relationship with everybody and have a lot of fun?
Yep.
That's cool. Do you like spending time in the house, in Mom's house still?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really cool that you're still able to come here and not be locked out.
One thing, because there's Wi-Fi here and Karen has no Wi-Fi.
I could have told you that was coming.
So you heard about that there's another fundraiser out there.
And they have over $41,000 that they're not giving to us.
And it seems like you could use that money. Right. And I think a lot of the people that gave that money to that other fundraiser thought that it was going to be used to help you. Do you think that's unfair, or what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, she's only given us $2,200, I believe.
Right. That's exactly right.
Out of the 43,000.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are they're a little bit worried about you, and they're hoping that you're doing good, and that you're being well taken care of, and that you're happy. What would you say to those people that are wondering those things?
I'm pretty happy. And yes, I'm getting good care.
Right. Are you sure?
Yes.
You've continued tutoring Bastian after everything. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about like how he's doing and you know how he's dealing with his mother's death?
Mm-hmm. Well, we talked about Brandy. He brings up stories of like their travels and like they went on a trip to Arizona like a few weeks before she passed away, and I believe that was for Thanksgiving. So I think that really just speaks to his way of processing, is remembering these like amazing memories he has of his mom. And so I love when he is able to talk and like share that with me. And sometimes there's stories I haven't heard yet too, so I like that. And he's been in really good spirits when we're in our sessions, and I try to keep them fun and learn things with him that he wants to learn. Like if he wants to learn the longest word in the world or seeing supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I wish I wasn't doing that on camera, but we're going to do that and try to bring the fun into the time that I do have with him. But I know that he absolutely misses his mom, just because the love that she had for him and vice versa. It was whenever I was with them in the space, it was just so obvious the care that she had for him. Yeah.
Right.
I've had Bastion since December 8th, the day after Brandy passed, and he has been delightfully chipper and really into being outside and still making good memories. I do happen to have the greatest therapist ever. I have a puppy, so that really helps. Without having a puppy, I think he'd be having a more difficult time, but he does have a therapist that he meets with once a week, that he'd been seeing before all of this happened. So I know that he's able to talk about his feelings and process when he's with his therapist. But my goal is just to provide consistent care for him. My focus is 100% on him, making sure that he's well fed, that he stays happy, that he gets outdoors, that he's with his tutor, that he's with his therapist, that he does spend time with his best friend here in town. So that's my focus, just making sure that all of his basic needs are met, which includes rent on this house, where we do spend quite a bit of time, because that's where he's used to spending his time tutoring with Jada here in the house. They have a special little nook where they do their tutoring. So after just 1 week, Bastion was back here tutoring with her. So he's a pretty tough kid. You know, he's been able to just, focus on doing what he loves. And we do spend time looking back at all of the many photos that we do have of Brandy. We have a couple of montages here that you can take a look at afterwards.